Good morning, students. Warm welcome to the day 7 of FI orientation. Today, we begin the session with the expert talk on work and social life balance, a mental health perspective. This topic is of utmost importance in our fast paced world where stress and demands often take a toll on mental health. We have a privilege to have Dr. Shubhangi Dere as a speaker for this session. I take a privilege of introducing our speaker, Dr. Shubhangi S. Dere. Dr. Shubhangi S. Dere has done DNP in psychiatry and diploma in psychological medicine. She is consultant psychiatrist associated with MGM Navi Mumbai Hospital, and she is a recipient of Indian Psychiatric Society Travel Fellowship in Perinatal Psychiatry from Nimans, Bangalore. She is a member of task force group of IPS to combat depression, and she also served as an editor-in-chief of Mind's monthly e-newsletter, which is circulated among the medical students and psychiatrists all over India. She is a resource person to several workshops for perinatal guidelines. She also has topped the university exam of diploma in psychological medicine. She also has several index publications and books. Her area of interest is perinatal psychiatry, community psychiatry, and women's mental health. I request Dr. Nandana Prabhu to welcome the speaker.
Announcement at the end. Slide up. Okay. Good morning, all of you. Good morning. Okay. Welcome you all. And first of all, heartiest congratulations for all of you to secure this particular esteemed institution. And I'm sure you will be learning a lot throughout your course and you'll be graduating as an expert. So the team is going to be working upon you. But while doing that, why do we arrange this session at the start and why not at the end? Because I'm sure the stress is going to build up gradually and slowly. Now you're pampered, isn't it? So why now? Any ideas? Because see, we count stress in terms of challenges. We say exam stress, we say family stress, we say relationship stress, breakup ka stress, promotion demotion ka stress. What are we doing? We are tagging along stress with a particular event. Is it true that stress comes only when there is a challenge? There's a stress day-to-day life. Reaching here through this heavy rains is a stress, isn't it? How many of you have traveled and come here? Not a hostelette. Majority of you. Okay, so there is a stress in day-to-day life. So basically we need to understand how to deal with this common stress which applies to all of you sitting here, including me, so that we are able to handle a major stress as and when it comes in our life. We are not prepared for it anytime. Nobody gets a training to deal with a pandemic. How many of you were trained before? We were not trained before as a doctor how to deal with a pandemic. When it came, we had to deal with it, isn't it? We are not trained to deal with online exams. Okay, you must have been through online exams for your 12th, right? 10th, 10th, right? So you were not prepared for it. So this kind of unpredicted novel stresses or de novo stresses, we should be handling up with a great capacity, and that depends on how much burnout you have faced in handling day-to-day life stress. Suppose somebody is discharged already, handling small events in their life will be the least possible person to handle the major stress that comes uninvited. So that is why we are here to learn how to manage day-to-day life stress. Okay, I'm not going to talk about big stresses. I'm going to talk about small events that we are dealing with in our life. So myself, Dr. Shubhangi Dere, I will be going through this 2 hours of session. And tell me if you're getting bored. Tell me if you want a break. Okay, you can tell me that. I will make sure that I will not bore you. But Still. Okay. So I'm taking this lecture for you because you still come in a category of youth. Okay. Youth is not, I'm not talking about the scientific classification, whether you are adolescent or you're adults or young adults. I'm not talking about it. I'm talking about youth. Youth means a phase of transition from childhood to a full blown adult. So this is a transition phase which deals with lot of challenges in their life. It's a novel, it's a very specific, very special phase in everybody's life where they are transiting from no responsibility to a major responsibility, protected, pampered to an independent adult, or spoon feeding from a school days to a self study, because engineering, for that matter any professional course, is a self study domain, right? Teachers are going to be not teachers, they are going to be guides or facilitators, right? So self directed learning is very important. So from that spoon feeding to a self directed learning is a major transition. Or maybe the career path till now was quite sure. Maybe a lot of students, how many of you have come by choice here? Almost all, right? But can you make sure that you get a choice company, a very ideal work scenario when you pass out? You cannot make that sure. So that transition becomes a bit difficult because there is no merit list, there is not going to be a preference list that will be given to you. So that is why we are dealing with a youth stress. So youth is a period of major physical, psychological, emotional, social, all types of changes happening in a person's life, and that influences a lot of their behavior, attitude, and relationships. And this particular period is highly influenced by a lot of external factors and internal factors. Internal factors are hormonal changes, psychological changes, your personality is getting developed, okay, and external influences as well. And that is why we are dealing with youth stress. um, so we're dealing with some technical stress. Okay, so there is some video, I will be playing it soon. Okay, so what are the special challenges for youth? As we have seen, previous slide. Anyways, यहाँ पे notice click करें, next slide. Okay, so as I said, there are a lot of developmental issues. There are exam-related stressors. There are peer pressure, identity formation, confusion about your own self. Who am I? What is my orientation? What is my spirituality? What is my identity as a? Am I a social person? Am I less social person? Am I very dynamic? I'm very reserved. I'm open to challenges. I'm closed down person. So all these questions are going to be there in everybody, because now you're dealing with a lot of peers throughout the school colleges. It is a small cohort. Now you're going to be dealing with lot of peers from coming from a different diverse background, and you're going to compare yourself with others, and that is going to give you a lot of questions like this. So peer pressure, identity formation, confusion, career confusion, relationship views. Okay, because this is the time when you start forming a meaningful relationship. Now I'm not talking about romantic relationship, I'm talking about meaningful relationship, as in peers, as in teacher mentor and student relationship, or senior junior relationship. Because I'm sure junior college doesn't give you that feel of senior. Okay, nobody comes to you calling you sir, but here you are going to be sir and madams. You call it sir or madam or what to your juniors? What is the trend over here? You have your seniors, right? So you call them sir, madam, then It's a friendly environment. Okay, remember, no bullying, no ragging. Okay, that is the motto of all the institutions now. So if anybody goes through that stress, you're supposed to report it. Then becoming an independent adult is itself a big responsibility. It's a positive stress, I will say, because it's something which we want, we look forward to. Okay, but it is a stress. Challenge changes in family relationship, temptations and distractors. Okay, so I will take it one by one. Coming to developmental issues, all of you, as you know, when you are changing, you're growing physically, you're growing emotionally, you're growing psychologically. When you see yourself when you were young, you will laugh at yourself, the mistakes that you made, the statements that you had, or the way you behaved in difficult scenarios. You laugh at yourself. Why? Because your frontal cortex is growing now, your emotional handling is becoming better. Okay, if you know some anatomy of the brain, we have cortical control over the emotions. Okay, we have a cortex, which is the logical brain, and we have a limbic system, amygdala, which is a emotional brain. So why this arrangement is like this, that logic on top of emotions? Because we need to have logical control over the emotions. It cannot be upside down, then everybody will become like animals. Okay, so humans are blessed with a cortical evolution, or better cortical control, so that our emotions are under our control. We can take calls on our emotions, we can postpone them, we can take a logical pauses, we can make arrangements or segregation based on priorities, unlike lower animals, right? So this development happens slowly and steadily in this particular period. Okay, as an adult, you're supposed to be handling it well. You're not supposed to throw tantrum, you're not supposed to be stubborn, you're not supposed to act out, right? So that control is supposed to have developed by that time. But now you still have some chances here and there to introspect yourself and check whether you are following a normal track of development. Then middle, you're into late adolescence, so there is that is what I'm talking about, maturation of frontal lobe, which facilitates regulatory competencies. And if this gets reversed, it's called emotional hijack. Okay, the limbic system and the emotional brain becomes too overwhelmed, and your logic is not working at that time. It is called emotional hijack, where your emotions are too loud for you to understand that they are irrational. And that is why a lot of times patient comes and tells us that I burst out, I blast, I make damage, and then I realize, oh, I did wrong. Okay, so that is something which we need to understand, whether we are maturing normally or we are having a deviant track. Am I having pause and react, or I'm having react and then think? Okay, so this maturation is self check. Okay, you can check it for yourself. Now, coming to academic and examination stressors, I will say this is inevitable. Nobody has a choice to not give exams if you are stressed out. Nobody. So let us consider this as part and parcel. Why is it there? Why so much of stress is not at all a question to answer. The question to answer is, am I able to take exams with minimum stress? Am I able to perform what I'm supposed to perform? Is my performance influenced by stress too much that I'm not able to perform? Right? These are the questions that you need to ask yourself. Peer pressure, definitely. uh, I have been through this phase, everybody has been through phase, and then we realize that yes, we were influenced with the peers. We were influenced from the peers for good reasons and bad reasons both. Good reasons, yes, you get to know a lot of people's, their ideas, their inclinations, their hobbies, their way of dealing with the problems, their way of communication. We do get influenced with people. If you start being with a person, you start talking like that person, you start grooming like that person. And in school, you must have observed, you start writing like that person, your handwriting gets influenced, right? You start behaving like that person. So we do get influence, and these are all positive influences. We learn things from them, we mature looking at other people. But then there are negative influences as well. Negative influences are, name any negative influences which you have experienced, you have seen people undergoing through. Bunking, postponing your work, procrastination, Okay, I do get so many hostelites who come and say that I cannot sleep because a lot of my friends come and sit in my room and they chit chat. So I sleep late, I get up late, and I bunk my classes. Okay, then my whole batch bunks, I cannot attend because I need to be one amongst them. Otherwise, they will boycott me. Right? So, academic difficulties can come because of peer influences. Lifestyle difficulties, you are paying for the mess, but everybody is ordering from outside, you tend to eat from outside. Okay, so lifestyle difficulties happen, late night awakenings, or negative lifestyles, like, for example, lack of exercise, lack of positive habits in your life, or distractions like social media, your addictions, all these are on rise because of peer influences. Okay, and that does happen. I will say it is important for you to face it. Okay, you cannot have an environment where you are not having such peers around you, then I will say you're not developing. Why I'm saying that? Because if you have people like that around you who are easy to influence you and who are having capacity to distract you for bad, then it is a challenge for you to learn how to say no, how to develop your self control, self discipline, and working in an unfavorable environment. All these higher skills you will develop only when there are difficulties in the background. You understand? So I will say peer pressure, let us take it as a positive influence and either learn from them or learn against them. You understand? Okay, so this is also a very important influencing factor. As I said, identity formation and confusion. Lot of times you have come here, okay, you have taken different streams and you will be graduating down the line from now 4 years, 5 years. And after that, lot of times we see that most of them are confused whether I want to continue what I have learned or I want to change my stream, I want to learn something else, because by that time the trend is changed. Now robotics is on rise, artificial intelligence is on rise. After 5 years we don't know what will be the trend. Okay, there can be something else which will be fascinating. So the identity formation, career confusion may arise now and then depending on the environmental factors, and that is what we have to understand, that how much to fall for it, how much to become gullible for. You cannot suddenly disown yourself against your training. Right, you cannot say that, okay, this now recently I'm seeing a person who is a dentistry student and he is into his third year. So they have this clinical posting. This fellow, while doing some dental procedure, was not confident about the skill, and then he was about to cut the lip. About to, I mean, he just stopped or somebody else intervened and the injury to the lip was saved. And this had such a bad trauma onto his confidence that he has decided that I will just finish my dentistry for namesake, but I will not practice dentistry. I will take up something else. I'll become hospital administrator, or I will simply do BSc and become a graduate in BSc. Okay, so this is how we, start getting hurdles when we start acquiring skills. You are bound to commit mistakes. You're going to make wrong decisions. You're going to land up in some trouble. But understand that you cannot disown. Now, this fellow, based on one mistake, cannot disown his training, which other things he has skilled, he has developed skills into, he has learned a lot of other things. There could be 100 things which he has learned after coming to dentistry, and he cannot just disown himself from the branch saying that I am committing this particular mistake. There is a scope for improvement, and we have committed mistakes. I have done wrong blood collection when I was intern. I have made wrong form fillings when I was supposed to send investigations. So these are the mistakes, and once you commit mistake, what will you remember? What not to do. Right, obviously, because this negative memory is going to hammer you that what is not to be done. Understood? So this is how you're bound to get some confusional spells in your life, but how to bounce back, how to survive yourself is a skill, and I want all of you to practice it. Career confusion, as I said, changing trends, changing market dynamics, changing orientation. Sometimes you will feel yourself comfortable with computers, then you will find yourself comfortable with any other stream. Like, I have a student who have done mechanical engineering, but now he wants to come to computer science. So a lot of changeover or reshuffling might be possible, but you have to be very sure that that cannot be your identity, and you cannot be fluctuating too much So much that at the end of the day you're not sure what you're supposed to do. Even if you want to change, have your plan ready, right? And have some logical disputations against it. Do some market research, do some analysis, take advices from your mentors, and then go ahead. Okay, it cannot be impulsive, it cannot be one single incidence, and it cannot be just abhi laga and abhi kar diya. That is not allowed. Coming to relationships, it is a very important field. As I said, romantic, non-romantic relationships are going to be mainstay of your development. Okay, and it is healthy to develop relationships. I'm not saying couple relationship, but it is healthy to feel connected socially or affiliated to people in a meaningful way. I'm part of a group, people respect me, I'm part of the group, they value my ideas, or I get influenced or trained by somebody in my group and they help me, I help them. This association or affiliation are very, very, very important. Psychologically, we have three basic needs. What are they? Is anybody aware? What are the basic needs? Anyone? That is biological need. Okay, you need to be fed properly, you need to have rest, you need to have shelter to protect yourself. Biological need. What else? Social needs, definitely, because we are evolved human beings. We are no more living in caves, isolated in a deserted area. We are socializing, we are connecting to people, we are forming communities, we are forming common groups, common interest groups. So socialization is our need, a basic need. And third is, sorry, introspection. So basically self actualization. Okay, who am I, what do I want to do in my life? Imagine yourself just following random group of peoples. you know this group is going towards this stream, I will join that. This group is now divided, few of them have joined y stream, I will join y. Then after y, these people have diverted themselves and done z, I will do z. Will that satisfy you? It will never satisfy you, because you have not found your own stream. You have never found yourself, what you are comfortable with or what you are wanting to do. So we have to have our own self. So I will show you that table of needs, basic needs of human being. So the biological needs, the common needs, are in the bottom. They are the bottom line of the hierarchy triangle pyramid. Okay, so basic needs are biological need. We all need food, water, shelter. Okay, all these things. Then come safety needs. Once that is all secured, we need to be safe. We need to know which is my college, how much money I need to spend, how much is my budget, all these things. Then comes dependency needs, where we want relationships, we want to get affiliated with people, then the socialization starts. Then comes self actualization. So self actualization is supposed to be higher set of needs. Okay, not all people reach to that level. Okay, Chetan Bhagat, he's self actualized, he's done his course, but he's a renowned writer now. Okay, so he has done introspection and he has developed his need and he has satisfied his need. So not all will be able to reach there, but we can actually satisfy our goals and priorities and be happy with the path that you have chosen. Okay, that at least we can ensure for ourselves. Becoming an independent adult, where you are supposed to take your own decisions, you are supposed to do your time management, you are not going to inform each and every difficulty that comes in your life to your parents or your siblings, or for that matter your friends also. You are going to handle your own hurdles and difficulties, and this is a positive step, I will say. Okay, because you are supposed to do it, or you're supposed to learn through your own mistakes, and you're supposed to master your difficulties. So this is important transition. Changes in family relationships, generation gap. Till now, when you are not in a professional studies, your parents are going to dictate you. Once you are in a professional studies and you develop your own opinion, you'll observe many a times that parents will ask you, okay, this is like this or this is like that. When you give your opinion, they suddenly are taken aback. Oh, this fellow is having his own opinion now, he doesn't want to comply to us. My colleague, she is into, she's faculty in one of the department, and she has her son who took admission last year into first year MBBS. Till then, she was in a very good relationship with the son, where son was reporting to her for his studies. This much is done. I'm not understanding this. How to do this? I'm not understanding how to cover up this much syllabus. So mother was very happy to guide him and everything. Once he took admission in MBBS, and he was completely busy. He was completely busy into his college life. He wanted to stay in hostel, but she insisted, no, you come home. You are in Mumbai itself. So then he was to come home, but for a very short time. Then he took a few projects. Then he participated into festival and everything. The mother was taken aback. Mother was so unhappy that I am losing him. He's no more reporting to me. He's no more in connect to me. He's not taking my opinions. Okay. And if I speak to him, he has his own independent logical reasoning for that. So she was taken aback. So this also is part of development, how to face those parents abandonment issues. Okay, parents will feel abandoned if you're too much into your friend circle, outings and festive late night work in the college for exams, projects, festivals and everything. They feel rejected. Okay, and plus the difference of opinion, because the logic that they bring is maybe 40 years back and you bring is a today's logic, so it may have some clashes, and that can create sometimes a dispute between both of you. Because a lot of times you must have seen that parents expect you to read, to study, and you read, your laptop is in front of you. What do they think? You're not reading, you're chatting, you're viewing something, you're listening to music, or you're just reading something which is not curriculum. Why do they think that? Is it because they don't trust you? It may be possible, but lot of times it is because that is not the way they have learned. That is not the way they have studied. I have never studied from internet. If we were supposed to do thesis, we used to go to library, go through the journals, take some notes, and then find that specific article online and then copy it down. Okay, but now everything is at finger touch. Everything you want, you need not refer to a book. You can have ebooks, you can have PDFs and forwards and everything, isn't it? So that is a generation gap we all are facing, and this is huge among your parental generation and your generation. Maybe for your children it may not be that much because you are exposed to digital evolution already. I'm sure there must be something else which will be overwhelming for you also, but still you are well versed with technology, which your parents are not. So generation gap, parents say that anybody should get distinction, and the child says anybody can dance. Temptations and distractions, a very important topic. Okay, because we are all struggling at teachers level to keep children or students in focus, in academic focus, in development focus, in positive engagement focus, because there are a lot of temptations and distractions acting in the background, which are supposed to capture your mind and influence you negatively. And these temptations and distractors can be different for different people, but you need to know what is it for me and how to take care of it. Okay, so this is another important topic. So we are supposed to touch upon three areas basically. One is what is stress for you, what is social life for you, okay, and how to balance it. Okay, so coming to social life, I'm going to talk briefly about effects of social networking sites. All of you on social networking sites? Who is not on social networking site? You're not. Okay. Handful of them? 4 of them. Okay. 5. Okay. Still, not 100% we are into digital evolution. Good. So effect of social networking sites on psychology. What happens is when you are too much into social media and social networking sites, we tend to drift away from your own real self. And I'm sure you will agree to it. At the end of it, I'm going to ask you that question. And I'm sure you all will agree to it, because the way we present ourselves onto social media is not 100% me. It's either too much of me or too less of me. Okay? So before going to that, there are definitely some positive impact of social media, social networking sites. What are they? Ease in connectivity. Agreed, 100%. Okay, if you're willing to be socially connected, you are a social person, you are a person who likes affiliation, it's the easiest method of connecting, rather than calling up a person, going and meeting up in your busy schedule, making it happen that you dine together or you see a movie together. Better than that is having a online chatting or a Zoom meeting or some other ways of connecting. Okay, so it is definitely easy to connect. It helps us to maintain friendships and active social life. Agreed. Lot of people, when this Facebook was in rise, a lot of people were very happy because they could connect to their 90s, 60s ka batch, 70s ka batch. Okay, it was very difficult to be connected otherwise. One or two good friends would connect over phone, but otherwise it was very, impossible to connect to your old batches, ninth and 10th batches. But with this social networking sites, a lot of people had that boon suddenly that we could connect back. Then magnifying creativity. I definitely agree to it that we all become creative when we are following somebody. Okay, either it is craft or some noble ideas or some literature. We read people whom we follow, or we see some post and we get ideas from it. And we develop our own ideas based on those schemas. Isn't it? It's a very positive platform for magnifying your creativity. Getting a voice. Lot of times we see that many of us are not socially very confident, or maybe you're not well versed with the vocabulary or verbal expression of your thoughts. But social media allows you that platform where you can post your views, your ideas and your opinions without a hesitation, because you're not seeing an immediate block from somebody else. You're not concerned whether somebody will read it or not initially while posting. After you post it, yes, that bothers you whether somebody has read it or not, what they think, what is their attitude. But while posting, you're not scared to post it because you are sure nobody is immediately going to give you a feedback, isn't it? So that hesitation is bypassed, that anxiety is bypassed, and a lot of people feel confident or comfortable posting it online rather than saying it face to face. So this helps to get a voice. Or definitely forget anxious people. Otherwise also, creating campaigns or making some movements or making some evolution is very easy on social media. Okay. Career opportunities. Many are getting exposure to opportunities that are good for career development. Definitely the openings and the trends and everything we come to know through social media first. Having said that, definitely there are negative impacts which we are going to highlight. Mental health problems, because too much of digital presence. Initially, it feels good that you are connected by people, you have so many friends, you have so many admirers, followers, XYZ. But eventually, it makes you feel lonely and gives rise to a lot of mental health issues, because that is not a true connection which you are born for. Human beings are still not that evolved that you are not happy with a social contact. We are happy with a social contact. Tell me frankly, I'm talking to you face to face. If it was an online lecture, would you be so much attentive? No, you'll be talking to somebody, you'll be chatting with somebody, mummy beach mein aayi hai, you must be looking through outside through the window, or just doing 10 different things, because we falsify that scenario as a multitasking, right? So physical appearance or body language still have a positive impact on our mind, and that's how we are a social human beings, we are social animals. So if there is no social life physically, only virtual life is there, it creates a sense of loneliness eventually. Physical health problem, sitting at one place, binge eating, because when you're on social media, when you're into too much of gadgets, you tend to sit at one place for lengthy hours, and then you eat binge wise. You binge eat, you binge drink. Okay, the sleep patterns are disturbed, and that leads to a lot of postural changes, neck problems. Okay, I'm just waiting for a world where everybody will have cervical spondylosis because of this posture, constantly looking down. Okay, or some thumb evolution where the thumb will become so advanced that it will act faster than the other fingers. Okay, so this evolution is possible because we are too much into a particular posture for a long time. We are supposed to get victims for cyberbullying and cyber frauds. And believe me, it may not appeal to you because maybe then there is no one from you all who has faced it, but there are cases who are suffering through it. Recently I had a student, she's a 10th standard student. She created her fake profile and she was chatting with random people during lockdown. Okay, it was very common because in lockdown we were not supposed to meet up people, or routine friends were sparse. So she connected with random people, and then it advanced so much that she was bullied, and she was harassed through text messages and videos, and it went to a very nasty level that the police complaint needed to be made. Okay, so all these things, so many frauds happen, so many fake links come. Okay, recently I had a patient who lost 1,25,000 through a fake link similar to a bank link. Okay, so all these things are possible, and you cannot just say that it's not me. Okay, it can be anybody. Okay, frequent distractions, because it is a distractor, believe me or not, it is definitely a distractor, and it acts very strongly because it captures your attention like anything. Okay, now also if you keep your mobile phone on a silent mode, you tend to look at it constantly if there is a screen light on, right? It captures your attention. So what is psychology of social media? Why there's so many negative influences happening on us? We need to understand the psychology behind it. So what do we do? When you create your profile on any social media, what do you think of yourself? How do you portray yourself? You select the best photo in your gallery, best one. Okay, that you scroll through 100 photos and you select the best possible angle, best light, best dress. Nobody wants to portray their disheveled look on the profile photo. Okay, so you select the best possible photo, you crop the other people out, and you post it. Right, now after you post it, you check it multiple times. How does it look? Okay, then when you put your description, you never put your real description. Okay, you make it better, you make it more appealable by others. You never make it less. You write 2 3 more words about yourself, or you try to make it more positive, pleasant. Okay, so when we do that, what are we doing? You're not faking it. I will not say you're faking it, but you're trying to create a perfect identity for yourself. You're trying to convey to world that what perfect you exist. Okay, believe me, I'm not talking about fake profiles, I'm talking about your own profiles. Okay, and how do we create it? So there is this famous psychologist Carl Rogers who created this concept of real self and ideal self, and everybody had their own views to look forward towards formation of personality, but this particular person spoke about a real self and ideal self. So now everybody has it. I have my real self and I'm my ideal self. You have it. What happens that when we portray ourselves, we portray the ideal self. Okay, and when we are dealing with ourselves, we deal with our actual self or the real self. And the more the gap between the real self and ideal self, the more distress you will face while you're dealing with people around you. Right, suppose there is an opinion poll going on and there are specific questions. What do people do? They will not say, do you agree to this is, they will not say no, they will say don't know. Okay, even if you strongly disagree, just not to become odd one out, what do? You select beach wala option, don't know, not sure. Right, and why do we do that? Because we are not going with our actual self, because we think that it may not be acceptable. So the New York Times survey found that 68% respondents said that they share to give people a better sense of who they are and what they care about. Okay, so you talk about that rare possible likings if you feel that is what people want to know about. Okay, it may not be something that you practice all the times, but you make it sure that you are posting about it or you're talking about it just because people are talking about it or people want to know it from you. And constant striving to pursue behaviors that brings us closer to our ideal self. So even if you're not into literature but your friends are talking about literature, you make sure that you read something and post a good review on it. Okay, but rather than being out of the group, right? So this is what we do, and in a way it is not all bad. I will not say it is all bad. It is good, but provided you are not just striving to be that ideal self and you're losing your real self, or you're creating a big difference between yourself and the projected self, and that's something is very important. Now, another use of social media, the psychology behind it, is to nurture relationship. We all want to be connected, as I said. We want affiliations, we want approvals, validations, we want feedbacks, not negative feedbacks, we want positive feedbacks all the times. Okay, we are taken aback with the criticism, but this is what our mind pursues. So the postings that you do, I mean the post that you put, it is all driven by our desire to maintain an enriched relationship. If you were asocial, you would not mind what people are talking about. You would just shut down, mute the postings, and you will just not attend to it. But hardly anyone does it. We are interested in what people are talking about, and we make sure that we follow the track. Okay, or then we often share the content that captures a mutual interest, a shared experience, or joke, or some experience which you feel people will be interested into. So this is our basic need. It's not something which you are doing out of the way. It's our basic need to feel sense of belongingness. I belong to this particular group. I am in this society group. I am in this 10th standard ka group. I am into that junior college ka group or integrated classes ka group. So that belongingness matters to some extent. Because if something is happening in that group, they are wanting your opinion, or they want to talk to you, or you are supposed to answer. That is a belongingness, that you belong to some place, right? Like maybe your parents or maybe your grandparents, they belong to a particular village, and they are happy to be there, or they are happy to participate into the activities over there. Now you cannot be participating into four activities in four different scenarios, but you do participate into online presence because it is possible, and second, it is wanted, right? So sense of belongingness is high because we do get some validation after posting your events. We do get validation. People like it, or people adore it, people elaborate it. It is a kind of validation. So as this was, I was talking about belonging is a need. So we have this pyramid of hierarchy of needs. So this is another psychologist who spoke about this belonging needs. Okay, why do people behave in a way? It is shown by the pyramid of needs. So people do thefts and robbery because their physiological needs are not met. Okay, once the physiological needs are met, then we talk about safety. Suppose I'm earning now. Some people are struggling to earn daily wages, but once somebody has a stable job, what do we think of? Where to keep the money? So I need to have a bank account, I need to have a safe, or I need to have a safe place where I can keep my belongings. Now I have gold, I have to say make it safe, right? Then love and belonging. So now I have everything secured, I need to have a family, right? I need to have people who stays with me or are companions to me. Then self esteem needs. Self esteem is okay, everything is set, now I need to be known by the people around me, in my society, in my group, in my workplace, in my forums. People need to know me. So that is my self esteem. I develop my hobbies, maybe I'm good in painting, I'm good in social service, I'm good in charity. So that is my self esteem. And the last one is self actualization. That is something where you just get driven by a particular work and you do it irrespective of other needs. And this is achieved by very few people. Like for example, Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi, all these people were self actualized. They were not bothered about their physiological needs or self esteem needs or whatever. Okay, so we may not be able to reach to that particular need, but maybe at least this self esteem and love and belonging, if these needs are satisfied, we are happy, we are content, right? So social media helps us to satisfy these love, belongings, and self-esteem needs, because you do get followers, you do get people following your post and giving comments or giving validations and feedbacks and suggestions. Okay, so it helps us to advocate great content. Definitely business is on rise on social media. That is the only platform right now to portray yourself, or maybe make yourself a brand. Okay, we cannot deny it, it's definitely the fact. Okay, but having said all these things, if it is helping us, if it is influencing our social life, if it is giving us a positive connection, then why do we need to fake? What do you think? Why do we fake on social media? Definitely, you need to project yourself in a better light, much better life, so that it gets, you grab people's attention to it. If you put something average, ordinary, like suppose you post it's raining heavily, it may not grab attention. But if you put flooding in front of my college, people will talk about it. No, people will see it. Definitely. Okay. So something which grabs attention, something which creates out of the way emotions or thinking. Okay. So all these things compels us to do something which is not there or do extra. So I will talk about this case, Master A. This patient, he was a graduation student, first year student. He had a medical condition called chronic pancreatitis. Pancreas is an organ, you must be aware. It creates digestive juices. So he had idiopathic pancreatitis, and he used to have multiple episodes, maybe every 3 months, 15 days, very unpredictable. And the pain is very severe, very crucial pain they have, and they need to be hospitalized and bedridden, and very strict diet regimen. No oil, no fat, nothing. He was on a very strict, restricted diet throughout. And that was to be given every 2 hourly. So obviously, he couldn't attend his 10th, 12th, and first year. So he was allowed to appear test and only test. So his attendance was taken care of. So he was at home, bedridden. Mother appointed one caretaker because both were working, and she used to look after his diet. Now, mother observed that eventually what is happening is he's getting very withdrawn. He's not communicating with the parents. He's not very active in social, guest coming, going, festivals. He was not active, and he was too much on the phone. So mother was very curious what is going on. So she once checked his phone, and she found that he is speaking in a particular group chat of international friends, and one friend from Netherlands, he's chatting to her and saying that I'm very sad nowadays, and it happened so that my sister she was kidnapped, and we couldn't find her, and whole family is devastated. I'm not sure what to do, and a very strong depressive story. So mother was shocked to see that and read that, because he was the only son. There was no sister, and the story was all fake. Okay. So then this was the indicator for her to take him for psychiatric evaluation. Till now, she was tolerating it, or maybe giving him a chance that, okay, talking to him, talk to us, take part into family affairs and everything. But he was not willing. But then when she saw this story, she was taken aback that what is this? I mean, what is he talking about? And then talking to him, he didn't accept first place that he did that. And then slowly and slowly he opened up and said that my life had become very boring. So what do I post? What do I talk to people? All my friends have gone away because I'm not attending school, college. Nobody is making that effort to come home and meet me. Very possible. Everybody is busy. So, and talking to them and telling them, okay, I was admitted yesterday. I'm better now. Every now and then I have the same things to tell. So what do I tell? Okay, and hence when he joined this particular group, they called it as a healing group or something, where everybody was talking about their pains and sufferings and was supposed to get validation and went out from a common-minded, same-minded people. He observed that people have lots of pains and sufferings, and then he thought mine is not that high. My pain is not that high because it's a medical condition known to everybody. Treatment is known, that it's just that I have to take rest. So he created this story and made it so obvious to others that the pain is very strong, the pain is very genuine, and he believed that role, and he was playing this role for last 3 months. I asked him, did you not even feel once that I shouldn't not be doing it because it's unfair? It's even if you're not talking about a real person, talking about yourself as this imaginary thing is also not good, no? He's like, but then that is more happening for me. My real self is not happening. I'm getting some validation, I'm getting some sympathy from people for this story, so why not? Understood? So this is how people can fake their life. There was another student who came, her mother brought her in a crisis, and what happened was she was enrolled for FY science. Okay, and then her chemistry was very bad. She couldn't do well in her chemistry. She flunked in her exams, and teacher was very nasty. She said that you bring your mother. She was not willing to bring her mother. She just said, gave some reasons about why mother cannot come, and the teacher accepted. Okay, then her all friends started passing and getting out of the college and getting into degree or whatever, this thing. So on her profile she had to write something, no, because everybody is graduating. What do I write? She also started writing that I passed my 12th, this many percentage. Nobody asked your mark sheet on social media, so it was easy for her to fake. She started doing it. Then she kept posting about her BSc being completed. BSc, that too in chemistry. Okay. And her all relatives believed that she is doing. And for that, she was making it sure that she was attending college. She was every day going at a particular time, coming back at a particular time. And then family knew. It was a separated family. I mean, the mother had separated from husband and she and only daughter was staying. So nobody was really coming and going to their house, but they were all connected phone wise. So everybody thought that she is completing her chemistry BSc. Okay. And then what happened is, mother once had to enroll her for some higher studies, and mother asked that, okay, give me your certificates, I need to submit it there. And then this girl is avoiding it. She doesn't have 12th ka passing, she doesn't have FYBSc, SYBSc, TYBSc, and she's giving her reasons. No, 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 it's going to come, it's going to come, they have not given my certificates yet. The mother went to the college and the college told that we don't have such students here. Okay, now the mother felt guilty because she was very busy since husband is not there. She was earning throughout the day. She was going to the office and she didn't know. And this girl was faking it so much. She was appearing as if she's an exam going student. She's under stress. She needs some help and everything, and books and all she was purchasing. So understand too, she could have, I asked her, why could have you couldn't talk to your mother? She said, I could have talked to her, but since I had created this aura, I couldn't talk to my mother as well. So since she was socially so faking, faking herself in a social life, she didn't communicate to her mother as well. And it was easy for her because mother was already absent, she was busy. Understood? So the life can get messed up to this kind of an extent. Okay, so faking starts with small small areas, but it can become a big issue later. So again, third reason why we fake is perceived threat to self. If I have certain limitations and I know that people may not like it, why to tell about it, I'm not talking about positives, I'm talking about negatives now. If I'm having suppose overweight, okay, very commonly that has been highlighted on social media because a lot of people come and tell us about this particular domain. So if they are talking about weight, if they're talking about figure, this person will be outcasted automatically. So what does this person do? It is a threat to themselves, no? They will not post their now ka photo. What they will do, they will post their older photo where they were slim or having. Lot of times they, females come and tell us that we get tricked on matrimonial site. Okay, they see photos of the prospect as a very hairy person and slim and trim, and when they actually meet, it's a bald fellow, fat. Okay, so this is how we fake it, so we need to be cautious why do we are doing it. And this is called incongruence between real me and ideal me. Don't take it otherwise. I'm not talking about males. Sometimes the males also come and tell that there are so many filters that we don't know their actual face. It is, so clean and everything, the females ka photo. Okay, so it is both the ways. Somebody is saying something. Catfish. Okay, experienced. Okay. So incongruence is between real me and ideal me. The more the incongruence, I am in a distress because I have to maintain that persona for me. It is difficult. Believe me, it is difficult to maintain that persona. You understand? So uh, need for valuation, then conditional acceptance by society. We constantly are into that struggle that people will not accept me if they know my real self, whereas it is not true. I had one patient, and there was this work from home for good 3-4 years due to pandemic, and now the office started calling up the people to join the office. And obviously everybody had gained weight during the pandemic because of sitting posture, good food, and no travel, no stress, nothing. So she had gained weight. So now she was so bothered and so panicky to attend office with the fear that they have not seen me in person and whether they will like me in this particular figure. I mean, like me as in not like and adore, but accept me. Okay. And it was so difficult for her to accept herself. She avoided going to the office and joining the office for a good long time, but it was inevitable. She had to go. She went and she was so observant about herself, whether my hairstyle was okay or not. Somebody said that, okay, oh, acha, you do this side partition. I thought you do middle partition. And that triggered her. It was such a nominal comment that triggered her. Then she was so observant about her grooming and everything, and so panicky about her own appearance that she was constantly proving the fact that people don't like my real self, whereas it was not true at all. I told her, now for a week you go and observe how many comments do you get and how many thoughts you have. So she actually logged it, and then she found that she has maybe 20 thoughts about her self observation, whereas the comment that she gets is hardly one or none. So people are not interested most of the times. But a single comment also be perceived as a catastrophe if you're preoccupied about it. If you have already made a hypothesis, then that comment is going to prove it. If you don't have a hypothesis, 10 comments also would not bother you a lot, isn't it? So, and then what we do is we use defenses like denial and distortion. Either we deny it completely or we distort ourselves. We start distorting our information, we start distorting our persona. Okay, so distortion plays a big role in psychology. Okay, body image, as I said, young men and women who spend more time on Facebook may feel more concerned about their body because they compare their appearance to others, especially to peers. Okay, and that comparison gives them a lot of negative self image. Okay, they start hating everything about them, everything. Profound psychological consequences on body image and confidence when they compare physical appearance to others. And photo edition is definitely something gives you a false sense of control that you can make yourself look better, feel better. Okay, but that is again, you can do it, you can enjoy it, you can take use of it, but if it is the way of presenting yourself, then it is a problem. Okay, disconnect between perception and reality increases the distance between you feel yourself in your real life and your online persona, and as I said, the more the difference, more is the problem. Okay, we'll take some activity in between just to freshen you up and wake you up. Okay, I need some volunteers, 6 people maybe. People are taking comfortable positions. Anyone, it's a fun activity. You must have all seen. I will show you how the distortion happens. Come, please come. Thank you. 3 more. Maybe girls. Come, anyone. Okay, all boys. It's okay. Maybe girls can't act over here. Boys can act. Okay. So you all must have seen Chinese Whisper, right? Okay, so we are going to play it for emotions.
And some young, powerful woman.
Yeah, yeah, please come, join. Clap for them. Boys के लिए किसी ने clap किया, please clap for them also. Okay. So since we have 4, 8, 10. So we'll make 2 groups, 5 each. Okay? Divide yourself. 10. So which are the groups? This is one group, that is another group. Okay, stand in line over here. You know, row. Maybe first group will take, then the second group. No, like this. You people wait. Okay, and then stand facing back. Turn around. Turn around. Face the audience. Okay. Stand behind the drum. Make a line. There's a light, then you can adjust yourself. Okay, so I'm going to show you an emotion here. You are supposed to enact. You people can see them, or I should make them stand like this. Like this. Okay, then adjust yourself. ऐसे करो ना. Make a line like this. Standing with and you know the rules, my stand is this for you. People have seen it, right? Achha. So now this person, I will show him some emotion. He's supposed to enact. All people will be facing audience. He will tap you, then you are supposed to look back. Then he will enact to you. You are supposed to learn what he's doing. Then do it to this person. Then he will pass it on. Whatever he does, you have to understand. But no movements, no whispering, nothing. Okay? Don't see anything. Turn a bit more. Very good. Gravity. You tap him and show him. You have to show this person. That. Yeah, you have to act to them and tell what it must be. Clap for him, he's a good actor. Okay, what did you feel?
Okay, emotionally that was sad.
Yeah. What do you feel? Depressed. What do you think? What do you think?
Regret.
Pain.
Very good. So see how it gets shame. This
Shame.
fellow, yes. This fellow started laughing intermittently. Okay, thank you so much. You can stand aside.
I just did exactly what you did.
The first person and the last person should be a good actor. Don't look back. Don't say anything. Censor board. Okay. What do you think it was? Rajasthan. Rajasthan. After Kerala. Okay, what did you feel it was? Sure. So why did you act like that?
Sorry, one month I was
Surprise. Good. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. He got the limelight. Okay. So you saw how emotions are difficult to express. Okay, emojis are better, isn't it? You can put all the emojis possible. If you have to show your emotions, it is so difficult. We need words for that. But sometimes if you're not allowed to speak or if you are difficult to find words, it's difficult for somebody to realize what you're going through. Isn't it? Even if I'm anxious, somebody might perceive that I'm having attitude, I'm just bossing around, I'm just creating unrest because of my panic. Or if I'm sad, people will think that, oh, she's not interested, she's just having so much of attitude around, she doesn't want to be part of the group. Okay, so emotions are difficult to understand. So just don't rely on the language which is digital language, because it becomes quite easy to express but difficult to convey. Right? So conveying emotions is very, very, very important. Okay. So again, the same thing, that how we should work upon then social self. We should work upon our social self, which should be as much as related to your real self. Okay, it cannot be a way different than your real self. So authentic self-expression on social media can be psychologically beneficial. Okay, I should be standing with myself. I cannot be standing against me and viewing with the crowd against me. Okay, that cannot be healthy for me. Better mental health while posting about their real life as opposed to while faking it. Okay, it is a real proven finding. And your worth is not as per the likes you get for your post, which is very, very, very important to understand. Your likes are mechanical most of the times, because whenever you get likes and comments and all, not all times all of them have gone through it and thought about it. Maybe it is just a formality. Excuse me, you want to act more, you can. Okay, so you don't have to rely upon those numbers to make you feel good. You have to start praising yourself and then expect people to praise you. But this self praise cannot be unrealistic self praise. I cannot be in denial and just say that I'm great without knowing my limitations. Okay, so there is this one particular female which, our mentor told us that she was having a lot of social anxiety issues, and she was depressed because she was dark in complexion. She had a lot of skin issues, acne and everything, and she never liked her looks. She was very unhappy with her personality, and which is why she used to avoid social gatherings, she used to avoid stage performances, everything. But then in her professional life, she had to attend meetings, present her role, present her group and team and everything, which was very uncomfortable for her. She used to get a lot of panic symptoms, and then afterthoughts, excessive rumination, playing that scenario in her mind that, okay, what were people thinking when I was presenting? They looked at me like that, which means that they didn't like me. Okay, so a lot of self-evaluation and self-critical appraisal. Okay, and that was draining, that was exhausting. She failed to get into relationship because of her self-doubts. So when she came for therapy, obviously medicines is one part, but then the second part is we ask them to practice a bit of gratitude to themselves. Okay, then self-realization and self-valuing, self-worth exercises, which is very important. If you hate yourself, you are with people whom supposedly who are supposedly hating you. But actually, if you go and see how many of them hate you, there is no fact. Okay, because people are looking to you through your personality. You are there not for your looks. You are there for your knowledge, your skills, your intelligence, your capacities, right? So somebody who looks through your personality or just the appearance, then the profession would have been different. It would have been modeling, it would have been a receptionist or XYZ job, but you're not there. You are in a technical team which is working on your intelligence. So she was asked a simple exercise that every day she was supposed to get up, get dressed for the work, stand in front of the mirror, look through her, upar se niche, and appreciate herself for whatever she is. And just do that, nothing else. It definitely changed her attitude at looking at herself. What before that also she was looking at her, but for what? For her flaws, for her limitations, for her deficiencies, and the difference from the crowd. But now she was looking at her for her abilities. And that made a difference, definitely a bit of a difference, where she was carrying herself with some grace. Okay, so this self valuation is very important because nobody can value you unless you value yourself. Okay, nobody will give you valuation. And even if you you don't value yourself and people come and value you, what you will think? They are just doing it to flatter me. They don't mean it. Okay, you are going to disown that comments also. So self valuation is very important. Okay, so don't be afraid of being different, be afraid of being the same. That doesn't mean create revolution all the times and stand against the crowd and be against the people. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that stand with yourself. Okay. Now we have seen that how social media brings rest, unrest, how self-image creates troubles for yourself, what it leads to. So you have to go through all these academics, independent living, adult thinking, generation gap. What does it lead to? I spoke to you in the first place. Day-to-day life stress. Okay, so what is basically stress? Tell me. What do you mean by stress? Anyone? It's a common term we use every day. Anxiety is a symptom which is in response to stress. Okay, so he's saying that our emotions get out of our control. Okay, but stress is basically a mismatch between demand and a supply. Very simple definition. How much is demanded from you, how much you can supply. Okay, if I'm exhausted and my consecutive fourth paper is tomorrow, I didn't have a sleep last 3 nights because of the papers, previous papers, I'm not in a position to give my 100%. That's a stress. Okay, so stress is basically demand and supply mismatch. And in your phase, that stress can hamper your target to be achieved. So what is your target to be achieved? This is the target to be achieved. Your task is to identify yourself versus confusion. You have to get rid of all the confusions about yourself and achieve an identity. Okay, and that leads to fidelity. What is fidelity? Loyalty. So loyalty with whom? Ourselves. Very good. So it's not about partner loyalty, it's about loyalty to yourself, what you are learning, what is your social standing, loyalty with that, what is your professional standing, what is your personal life standing. Okay, so all this loyalty you are supposed to achieve by the age of 21 years. Okay, is anyone more than 21 year here? No, no. Okay, so is stress good? How many for yes? Okay, rest, not sure. No. Okay, let us see. Stress is good, stress is bad, provided you have a control over the stress. Okay, so see this graph, it's an inverted U shape or a bell shaped curve where the stress and performance are plotted. If there is nil stress or low stress, the participant is sleeping. The person will not feel like performing if there is no external observer, if there is no checkpoint, if there is no audit, or if there is no exam. Right? Till 8th standard, government has declared no exams. Students don't feel like studying. Right? But if there are so many exams, if there is a weekly exam scheduled, what will happen? Over stress, and you will just panic and shut down. Right? So nil stress is not good, high stress is not good. What we need is the optimum stress, and optimum stress means it is under our control, it is not taking a toll on ourselves. Okay, and that is something which we need to maintain ourselves. So if that stress gets out of control, what happens? The emotions get overboard. The logical brain is not able to handle, the emotions get overboard, and then these conditions are likely to happen. Depression, anxiety, addictions, eating disorders, suicide, these are the common conditions which we see in day-to-day life. I'm not going into details of what is depression, what is anxiety disorder, and everything. I'm sure everybody knows about it thanks to Google. Okay, so coming to stress management. We all need to manage the stress, because as I said, it is integral part. We are going to have stress. So how to deal with the stress? Because if you don't deal with the stress, stress is going to overload. Imagine a cupboard, and you're just filing your copies, your papers, your files into the cupboard, and you're not emptying anything. What will happen? One day you open the doors, it will just fall onto you. Okay, that is called stress overloading. Okay, the stress is just incoming, and you're not letting it go out, you're not venting it out. The stress gets overloaded, and that is how we have to manage the stress. Now I'm just going to briefly talk about exam stress, because that is the commonest stress amongst all of you. So exam preparation has a very important role in dealing with exam anxiety. You cannot expect yourself to have a stress free exam without preparation. Nobody can do it. People have their attitude that, okay, last moment I can read and perform. It is not applicable to your professional studies. You have to develop a new skill of preparing in advance. Okay, so plan early, organize, optimum revision, and orient yourself. To avoid the stress, be sure about your exams. Okay, when is the exam, what topics, what is the format, how much syllabus, how much I have read, how much I have not read, okay, where I need more material to read. All these things have to be known to you. It cannot be last moment. Okay, last moment anything is going to create panic for you. And if possible, go through your previous papers, the same university papers or something, to make yourself oriented towards the pattern. On exam day, make sure that you are not consuming anything that is panicogen. Panicogen is some things in our life which creates panic. For example, too much of caffeine, tea, cigarettes, over the counter medicines, or any substance which you may be advised to take to feel alert. I will not take the names, but you know it is very rampant in the hostel life, where seniors say कि ये खा लो तुम exam पूरा याद रहेगा. Okay, so don't practice anything, because artificial alertness takes you to another level from where you cannot revive your studies. Okay, so during the exams, if your mind goes blank, there is a mental block sometimes. Okay, you're not able to remember what you have read, or you know that this is there on this paper, but I just can't remember what it was. What do? You take a break. Maybe you shift to the another question, or if it is the last question, put your pen down. For few seconds, you take a pause. You try to focus on to next step, or you try to focus on the book, or you simply go back to your previous answers and go through it. There is a phenomena called tip of the tongue phenomena, and there is a spontaneous recovery. Spontaneous recovery is you suddenly remember it. The more you try to focus to remember, it will get blocked, but you remove the focus, it remembers. Okay, so you don't have to force yourself. Leave the gap, switch to something else, and then while writing the other answer, you suddenly get the answer or a clue, and then you start writing. More you focus, you get dissociated. Okay, and then panic situations are very common. Then time management before exam, during exam is very important. and reread the question, relook at your plan. There is always a rough paper. You can always write the flow of answer so that you don't get lost during the answer. What all keywords you are supposed to write. Go through your answer again, highlight the keywords and make your presentation better, because a lot of times you know what you are supposed to show, but you don't know how. And don't worry, exams are just rewards for your preparation. So you cook something. How many of you love cooking? And how many of you click pictures of what you have cooked? No one? You should. Okay. So when we cook something, or when we plant a tree, or I mean a plant and all, and then a flower blooms, we click a picture. Right? So our efforts are getting validation. So exams are just validation for your efforts, provided you do efforts. Okay. Now time management, very important life skill, which is important for every stage of your life. Time is same for everybody. How do we manage it makes a difference in the outcome. So when we have a certain period in our control, we have to have this matrix in place. Urgency of the task and importance of the task. If your task is urgent and important, then you have to do it first. For example, your project submission. There is a timeline and it is important for your internals. You have to do it. There is no choice. You cannot keep it aside and work on something else which you have to present in the next year. Or you are simultaneously working on something and you are working only on that and you're not focusing on to this. Yesterday, only one of the student, he's a mechanical engineering student, he came to me, and what he was struggling is, he is a extraordinary student, but he is preparing a racing car module and he's very good into it. He's made it out of the way and everybody appreciates it. But while doing that, what has he done? He's failed to submit all the assignments and projects. So his semester is to be repeated. So this has to go hand in hand. Something which is important and urgent, do it first. Something which is low urgency and high importance, do next. Schedule. So priority 1, priority 2. Something which is high urgency but low importance, do later. So this car is important to him, not to the college. So he can simultaneously work upon it, but what is important for his student role has to be done simultaneously. And something which is low urgency, low important, don't do. Like replying to your friends, messages, chatting. Not urgent, not important. You can schedule it any point of time. After I finish my project, after I finish my reading, I can go back to the group and reply. Okay, not in the middle of the studies. So priority and goal setting is very important. How do we set our goals? The goals has to be smart. The goals has to be specific. For example, people come and say that I need to study better. What is this better? What are you comparing with? Okay, all these goals needs to be specific, measurable as in not weight wise, but are they going to lead to some change? Right? For example, I need to exercise daily. Okay, exercise daily. What kind of exercise? What change that exercise is going to bring into you? That has to be measured. Otherwise, you will just keep exercising and you don't know what is happening with me. Am I losing weight? Am I gaining weight? Am I getting sleepless nights? Am I getting relaxed or tired? I don't know. That cannot be taken up, because then that goal is a vested goal. Then attainable. You cannot have a very ideal goal for yourself which is too difficult to attain. Okay, if you keep goal like that, what will happen? Eventually you will develop frustration, stress, because your goal is not getting achieved no matter what. Okay, that attainability is very important. It has to be relevant to your role. It cannot be an irrelevant goal. Okay, I'm talking about a priority goal. I'm not talking about XYZ, because we can have 10 goals and out of which one can be irrelevant goal completely, but that cannot be your priority. Okay, and timely goals are important, because you cannot have your goal set where it doesn't fit your timeline. Okay, so life goals can be decided based on daily goals, which has to be done, 5-year plan and a life plan. A life plan cannot be in a first place because it is supposed to go simultaneously. And I usually tell my patients to write down 3 goals: short term, medium, and long term. Because short term goals will give you immediate satisfaction or validation because they are achieved and they are rolled upon. Intermediate goals give you some breathing space to plan and execute, and long term gives you some focus on a longer term. Okay, so these are important. Now, Both the movies, you know them, no? No? Okay. So when we are driving the life car, okay, now there are three people here. One is a long-term self, which is thinking about long-term. One is short-term self, which is thinking about short-term activities like food and everything, sleep, rest, entertainment. And one is a decision-making self. So how you will place here? Who will be in a driver's position? Who will be in a co-driver's position? Who will be in a backseat passenger? Who should be placed where? Any ideas? Short-term driving seat? Co-driver. Okay. Okay. What will happen, you know? Short-term self-driving. Every now and then will stop the car. I want to eat. I want to rest. I want to talk. I want to take a phone call. Right? Will get distracted. अरे ये eating out अच्छा लग रहा है. ये वहाँ पे अच्छा लग रहा है. That will happen. How can you place them otherwise? Which one? Mm-hmm. Hmm. Perfectly. What will happen then is your long term is behind, back seat. So long term is not taking up the steering and driving for long term only. Then if your long term is on the driving seat, you are not supposed to take breaks. You're not supposed to do entertainment. You're not supposed to stop because you're driven with a long term goal. Right? It will be a serious life. It will be a very dedicated क्या बोलते हैं उसको entertainment proof life. Okay, it is not something which you can enjoy. So the decision making self should be nearby, sitting nearby, and that person has to decide when to take breaks, when to stop, when to continue, and when to divert and distract. Okay, so that is something which you should place yourself like. I will talk briefly about mindfulness. Anyone aware of the term? What it could be? Yeah. Being in the present. Very good. So mindfulness is about ability to be in present at present. Okay. Now, I'm talking about this skill because it is really very useful in day-to-day life. You may not be having time to exercise, you may not be having time to do yoga, meditation and all, but you need to relax. So how to relax? This can be a workplace based relaxation activity. So there are 5 components into it, which means attention, open awareness, acceptance, no identification and choice. I will talk about it briefly. What is attention? So you have to pay attention to what is there at this moment. Okay, active attention. What is active attention and passive attention? What is attention at first place? Hmm. Hmm. Okay. You have given a comprehensive review, but attention primarily means focusing on a task at hand. But the second component of it is negating the distractions in the surrounding. Okay, you cannot be focusing on to multiple tasks at hand. Okay, I'm talking to you, there is some movement in the background, I'm negating that and trying to connect to you people. If I'm distracted, what will happen? My flow of thought will get distracted. I will stop intermittently just to understand what is happening there. Right? Same thing will happen to you when you're trying to focus into the studies. There will be n number of distractors. So focusing has to be at task in the hand and consciously negating the environment or the background. Okay. Then awareness of thought, physical sensation, emotions and feelings. So attention is onto the task or onto yourself. So at this point of time, what are my thoughts, my emotions, my feelings? Okay. Then open awareness is awareness of judgment, awareness of labeling, what is good or bad, or letting go of labels and judgment. For example, what is observation and judgment? I will tell you one example. We observe many things, right? But we don't know whether we are observing it or we are judgmental about it. You understand? We see a person dressed differently, right? In summer season wearing coat. What will you do? What will you think? In a hot summer, this person is wearing a coat. He's a mad person. Is this an observation or judgment? Judgment. Right? So lot of times in our life, we become judgmental than observant. Right? And these are trained responses. I'm not saying you do it intentionally, but these are trained responses. Right? So we need to be observant than judgmental. For example, there is a rush of thoughts in my head. I do get judgmental. What will I think? I can't control my thoughts. That's a judgment, no? I'm putting a label onto myself that I'm not able to control. I'm clueless, I'm distracted. Putting a label is becoming a judgmental. If I become just observant that, okay, a lot of thoughts are coming and they're coming because I just saw some untoward event or read some bad news in the newspaper or witnessed some incidents, and because of which I'm getting a lot of thoughts about it. I'm not able to stop it. So this is my observation. Better not to put label, because once you accept yourself, that is the next level, that you accept yourself having such thought, you're not feeling bad about it, right? So current acceptance of experience as it is, and do not attempt to change it. That will help you to become less struggling with yourself. Otherwise we struggle to ourselves. When once I become judgmental about my thoughts and feelings, then I start getting judgmental about myself, and that is not good. So no identification. Like I said that I experience sadness versus I'm sad. Why to label it? You shouldn't be labeling it. Okay, because this sadness is dynamic. Now you're feeling that way. After some time, somebody comes and talks to you, you get a phone call from your friend and you start chatting. That emotion is already faded out. So don't identify with wrong things immediately. Not everything you think is true. Lot of times you get troubling thoughts, okay, that result is going to be bad, I'm going to flunk, but then the result is good. So since you have identified yourself with some negative event, you have already panicked, and then the positive event is not meaningful to you, or it doesn't create that positive aura for you. Okay, you're not experiencing the positive side because you have already been through a negative. Because the states come and go, the emotions are dynamic, they're fluid, they don't stay or stagnate at one point of time. And then the choice, not letting us take over, room between impulse and action. That pause, as I said, pause and act, pause and respond, is very important. Even if I'm getting angry about something, do I impulsively want to talk, or I want to stop, understand, and then talk about it? It's my choice. And the more we take choices, the more the control that we develop, the control that I spoke to you earlier, that are we are developing. So conscious versus automatic behavior. There are certain knee jerk responses, that somebody talks to you loudly, you get aggressive. Okay, so that is a knee jerk response. You are threatened or you are saving yourself. But sometimes you can just wait and see whether that aggression was intended specifically to me, or it was intended to general crowd. Okay, and then my response will definitely change. For example, I will give you thing that happened to me. Okay, it was a Saturday, and it was like after the OPD I was going home, and I came to the biometric machine, and I saw there is a lift there. So there was this middle-aged man, and he was carrying a 3-year-old son along with him. The son was standing beside him, and he was constantly whining and pulling his pant and pulling his shirt, and was requesting his father to pick him up. And the father was not listening to him at all. He was just trying his face away from the child, and the child was constantly nagging him to pick him up. And then the father was telling another adolescent boy with him to pick him up, and that boy was trying to get him, but this child is not willing to go. So the observation is obviously that father is not picking him up, and then that boy looked like some distant relative or cousin and all, and the child was not comfortable. Okay, so it went on for 5 minutes, 7 minutes, and it was very disturbing to hear that small child cry aloud. So I told that father that why are you doing this? I mean, you should pick him up. No, he's crying for so long. I thought the child is not well, and then the father is not picking him up. The father could have responded to me with arrogance, but he stopped. He asked me, "Madam, aap kaun hai?" So I said, "I'm doctor here. I thought the child is not well. Why are you not picking him up? He is very irritable. He took his shirt up and showed that his spine surgery is done a week back. Okay, he was wearing a belt and he said that I have been called for follow up. I didn't want to bring this child because I couldn't carry him. Obviously, I'm restricted from lifting heavy weights. But my wife is not well. She's having malaria herself. So I couldn't keep the child with her also. Okay, so I had to get him. But then this child is not understanding. The more I'm telling I can't pick you up, he is requesting me more. So I got this neighbor ka son along with me, but he is not cooperating. So you understand how do we get judgmental and what is the fact? Okay, and suddenly I felt very sad very angry on myself that I should have not asked him in a very arrogant way, right? He was more observant and non-judgmental than me. You understand? And it happens to us. A lot of times it happens to us. And that is why we need to work upon our conscious or the automatic behaviors. What is mindlessness? Rushing through activities without being attentive to them. I mean, you grab food, you eat it, you throw it out, or you see something. There is something called as a aimless surfing on internet. Many of us do that. Aimless surfing. You don't know what you are surfing, what you are searching. You just randomly spend half an hour, and at the end of the day, you don't even remember कि मैंने क्या पढ़ा, right? Then breaking or spilling things because of carelessness, inattention, or thinking of something else. Lot of times happens to us. Failing to notice subtle feelings of physical tension or discomfort. Finding yourself preoccupied with the future or the past. It happens to us multiple times, isn't it? So this is called mindlessness. And then we have to understand how do we practice mindfulness. 20 minutes I have now. So there are various techniques of mindfulness. How do we do that? There is something called as a body scan. You scan yourself, your tensions, your feelings, your emotions. Then there are different breathing techniques that we do. Then there are small daily practices that we can take up and applying knowledge of mindfulness. Now the present moment that we were talking about. Okay, so when we talk about past, if you think about your past till now, what do you remember of? School days. But what specifically about school days? Suppose I will give you a scenario, not random one. I will give you a scenario. You are preparing for your entrance exam. Your paper is tomorrow. What do you remember about your past? Huh? Previous exams? What about previous exams you remember of? Sorry? Difficulties. Right? You remember difficulties what you have faced. Then you suddenly remember some subject where you had scored really very well, very less. You remember that. You don't remember the distinctions. You remember the failures. Right? Then what else you remember? Negative comments. Somebody have given verdict. You will not be able to do anything. Right? So you remember all the failures, regrets. मैंने ये stream ही क्यों लिया? मुझे करना ही नहीं चाहिए था. Right? All false, revaluation about yourself, your choices that you remember when you think about your past. And the same scenario, if you think about your future, what do you think of? Tomorrow is your paper and you're really stressed about it. What do you think about your future? Do you think I will get through it? I will get a good college, good stream, good package? What do you think of? That can go wrong. Worst condition. Okay, and what are these worst conditions? Failures. First तो ये आएगा ना दिमाग में कि whether I will be able to finish my portion, whether I will remember all these things. You check it, no, whether I'm remembering or not, whether I will be कितना बाकी है, okay, whether I will be able to give a good performance, paper कैसा आएगा, difficult आएगा, right? So when you think about your future, what do you think of? All the uncertainties, right? So when you think about your past, it makes you feel gloomy because you remember all the wrongdoings. And when you think about your future, it makes you feel uncontrolled. You feel that you don't have a control over the scenario. You don't have predictions. And that creates a lot of anxiety. Okay, so this is how the mind works. And in between these two domains, the now is compromised. So you'll end up spending a lot of time in thinking or remembering or predicting rather than reading. Okay, so that is why we have to focus on now more than past or future. And that is mindfulness. Okay, try to stop your thoughts for 2 minutes. I mean, not 2 minutes, 1 minute I will give you. Try to stop it. Close your eyes maybe and then try to stop your thinking. You're not supposed to think anything. You're not supposed to talk also. Okay, open your eyes. Was anyone successful in stopping the thoughts? What was there? I was purposefully making some noises. Okay, because you will never get a zero cell meditation. Okay, you're supposed to be thoughtless in current scenario. Right? But then first of all, when I told you to stop thinking, you must be thinking, why should I stop thinking? Right? So thoughts are never stoppable because they are supposed to be flowing. Even if you're sleeping, you see dreams, you dream, right? So dreaming is thinking, but that is only through the unconscious mind, and awakeness is your conscious mind. So stopping your thoughts is really not possible. What is possible is distracting from them or making control over them. Okay, so we are supposed to get 50,000 thoughts per day, and in some cases more if we face any difficult scenario. Thoughts can be handy, so they can be creative, getting new ideas or making plans, or they can be problematic where they are mostly focusing on to worries and rumination, negative stories about yourself or future predictions. So how to deal with them? So there are different strategies by which we deal them. One is suppression, distraction, and challenging. Okay, how do we suppress? Try not to think. Suppress. Stop thinking. Stop thinking. Is it possible? No. Distraction. I don't want to think about it. I want to think about something else. But the more you want to think about something else, this will pop in. Right? If I've told you that don't look at your left, you will be curious to know what is there on the left. Right? Then challenging, constantly debating with your thoughts. What will happen? The more you suppress, it's like a spring effect. It will bounce back. Okay. The more you distract, it is temporary, but it will again come back. Challenging is difficult because a lot of times we are not able to challenge. We just participate into it and we go in the flow. And that creates struggle for us. So what do we do in mindfulness is we observe, take less serious action and let them pass. Not every thought you're supposed to engage with. Thoughts will flow. There are certain thoughts called as automatic negative thoughts. Ant. They're really like ant. They will immediately come when the circumstances happen. But then these thoughts are supposed to come and pass by. If you take a part into that thought and create evidences for that thought from your past or from your prediction, what are you doing? You're making that probable thought possible. And more conviction given to it, that possible thought is getting certain. Right? You understand? That's how we transit from probability to a possibility to a certainty. I will fail is a probability because if you have read, you will not fail. And then every year, few students fail. I will be this time. That is again a probability. You're just randomly making a lottery for yourself. Right? But if you create that scenario for yourself that I have not read this is not done, I don't remember anything, which is again a self label. Okay, and then previously also I was struggling. So you're making your hypothesis true by giving more and more evidences. So you're making that probability a possibility, and more conviction given to it, talking about it day and night, making that behavior, cutting out from people, going through your difficult things again and again, scanning through the papers, not to know what you know, what to know what I don't know, right? You are making your possibility a certainty. And then once you make a certainty, your panic is going to start. So that is why we have to let them pass, take less serious action, and understand that this kind of negative thoughts are possible. Okay, if I'm standing on 100th floor of a building and looking down, what will come to my mind? What if I jump? आता है ना, दिमाग में आता है. If you are standing in the door of a very fast train, what comes to your mind? What if I fell down? Right? If you see a very sharp knife or a sharp object, what if I handle it and I cut my hand? You imagine, really imagine whether it will cut superficial or it will cut through. Right? So this kind of automatic negative thoughts are conditioned and they come to 100% people's mind. So what if it comes to your mind? Don't act on it. Don't just get into it. Don't find evidences to it or create scenarios upon it. Let it pass. And that is how you'll be able to get through the thought and focus again onto your action. So I'll just pass this. So how do we stand with ourselves? How do we get mindful and become less distracted by the surrounding? Is through scanning through yourself and scanning your immediate surrounding. And that can be done through your morning walks. When you're going for morning walk, don't carry something and just put a call on and discuss some things and walk. That is not mindfulness. When you're walking, just walk, observe your pace, observe your rhythm, observe on steps, observe on the road, things around it. Okay, so that is something which is important. Observing nature, then enjoying food. When the plate is in front of you, just go through the plate, see what all items are there, what are the colors of the items, sabzi kaun se color ka dikh raha hai, whether it is made up of green chilies or red chilies. Then take the smell of it, flavor, enjoy the flavor, talk about food when you're eating. Okay, so that is mindful eating. Then memory. Even if you're thinking about a particular event, go through the whole memory from start to end. Most commonly positive memory. If you're searching through the photos, take one photo and just remember before and after of that photo. That gives you a positive hold or control over the memory. Focusing on to details of it. Like for example, if you're sitting here, just scan through the whole room or in the your house itself. You may not be aware of small corners and small items that are kept in the showpieces, showcases. We don't even see that. We just keep it, and then after some few years we come to know, अरे ये यहाँ पे रखा है. So just close your eyes and just imagine how your home is placed, what all things are there in the right corner, in the left corner. So focusing on to details helps you to get grab over yourself. This is another very common and very easy mindfulness technique, which is called as a grounding exercise. So when you say grounding, what happens is when you're thinking a lot, when you're lost into your thoughts, the thoughts take you for a ride and you just go in past, or you go into the future, or you go in an imaginary land, and you're disconnected to yourself. So your book is in front of you, but you're not reading, you're not registering any information. Somebody talks to you, you're not listening to it. Okay, you're thirsty, hungry, but you're not getting in food for some yourself. So that is called disconnect, dissociation. Okay, through grounding we are connecting back to ourselves and to the reality. And how do we do that? We go through our sensory organs, and our sensory organs connect us back to the reality. So focus. If you are too anxious before your exams or before any interviews or something, sit back and focus on to 5 things that you observe around you. Observe on the different colors, shades, shapes, right? Different textures or textures, and the visible textures or the arrangements. You focus on to it. Then 4 things that you can feel, the textures. Okay, 3 things that you can hear, the auditory stimulus that is there around you. If there is nothing, you can just snap off, or you can hum something, or you can tap your feet and create some stimulus for yourself. 2 things that you can smell. Okay, and 1 thing that you can test. Because when you're thinking a lot, you're lost in your thoughts, or you're panicking, your mouth goes dry. What you can do is you can gulp one large ball of food or a big sip of water, just to make that stimulus happen to yourself. Or you can choose some food and enjoy the flavor or distract yourself. So these are simple techniques which you can do everywhere, anywhere possible, and get back your focus onto yourself. This is the last part. If you're willing, we will go through, otherwise we'll stop. How many for stop? Great. How many for go? Okay, thank you. So digital dependence is something which I keep talking to today's generation. Tell me, what is your frequency of checking social networking sites? How many for once in a week? How many for once in a day? Be honest, huh? Once an hour? This should be maximum. Okay, we check posts, we check feedbacks, we check likes and whatever. Done. Less than that? Maybe every minute. Okay. What is the frequency of checking screen notification? Forget social networking sites or Google News or whatever, just to check what is there on the screen. No one. All of us, right? We constantly keep checking the notifications. So what does it mean? We are frequently viewing the screen every now and then for some or the other reason. It may not be for some socialization or something, but it is just random sometimes. Most of the times it is random. Okay. And then thanks to artificial intelligence, it gives you a way. You know, you have searched something, it keeps on posting some things about it, and we are attracted towards it. We are supposed to follow it. I will tell you that when that Sushant Singh Rajput suicide happened, lot of patients were compulsively reading about his post every day. Compulsively. They didn't want to, but they were like, I don't know why I land up reading it every day in the morning. Okay, because it was fed by the Google, and then they were interested into it, and every time there was some new curious thing coming up, it was, they just engaged. Quite a lot of patients had that habitual use of that news feed. Okay, so what happens is compulsive checking. You keep on checking it. If you follow a particular trend, you keep on checking that, right? Then restless if not allowed to or supposed to. If you're in the lecture, if you're into some activity, or you're supposed to study for the exam and you're not supposed to do it, or you're not allowed to do it, you get restless, right? Distraction happens. Quite a lot of distraction through food, distraction through conversation, through your studies. Definitely instant mood and behavior changes. Suppose when you see the screen and you get a message which is unwanted from an unwanted person, or somebody is accusing you, blaming you, or whatever, or a wrong news comes up, what happens? Instantly our mood changes. Instantly we are lost. We are disconnected from what is going on. And that keeps on playing in our mind. So understand how much influence does it have on our thinking, emotions, and behavior, right? Then reduce sleep. Studies are there which shows that maximum screening happens in the night, when you're supposed to cut it off and sleep. And then you're constantly, because daytime you're busy, you're working, you're studying, you're whatever. So nighttime it's my me time, and nobody's supposed to intervene into it. So in the night while sleeping, we keep on checking what all things had happened throughout the day, for next day, things for tomorrow. And what happens is, the more the exposure to the screen, more is the frontal activation. And the frontal activation is supposed to become less for you to get a good sleep, right? Because the sleeping rhythm is in the occipital head. The frontal lobe is for attention, active attention. So it is supposed to reverse. The activation potential is supposed to reverse in the night, and then only you can sleep properly. But if your frontal lobe is actively involved or activated, what will happen? Your sleep will be fragmented and your sleep will be disturbed. Reduced multitasking because you're constantly distracted. What is FOMO? We do feel it most of the times. You're constantly into it. If you're not giving any contribution, you feel that people, if I not don't put anything, people will think I'm not involved, or I'm not on their side, or you forget people, you want to be part of it, right? And if some interesting discussion is going on about a picnic, a hangout or something, and you're supposed to sleep for tomorrow's lecture, what will happen? You feel missing out, that you're missing out on important information. You are not able to be part of it. So it causes rise in distress, irritability, something called as a behavioral addiction. Okay, this is a now new inclusion in diagnostic criteria in psychiatry. Till now, there was a chemical addiction. Now, this is a behavioral addiction. Behavioral addiction is internet addiction, gaming addiction, and lot of other associated addiction. Like, for example, you are on phone, smartphone. It gives you notification about shopping sites. You tend to scroll through the kurtas and shirts and whatnot, right? And what do? You keep on adding it to your cart. Okay, and then one fine day you just feel like purchasing them, even if you don't need them, right? So there is a compulsive shopping, compulsive eating also, because you just go through the food menu and you feel like eating something, right? Third is pornography addiction, because when you visit the site, it is a reward giving, or it is a dopamine releasing stimulation, visual stimulation, and that causes more and more dependence onto it. So all this comes into a category of behavioral addiction. Then reduce interpersonal functioning, the communication gets affected. Gadget related insomnia, as I said, everybody keeps their phone besides them, right? All of us. And that causes a lot of screen related disturbances in the sleep and frequent awakenings. And whenever you get up, you tend to just do the light on, and that light on is again causing a adverse effect on your brain. Overall poor satisfaction, because you're constantly striving to something which you don't know what it is, right? And academic decline. Now, to take care of all these things, there is something called as a gadget hygiene. We all follow hand hygiene, right? So we have to follow gadget hygiene. What does it mean? First of all, check and introspect how much dependency you have over your gadget use. It will be varied from one person to the other person. So it is a self responsibility to understand how much is my responsibility, how frequently, for what reasons, how much time, and what happens if I'm not supposed to do it. So if I introspect it, experiment nomophobia. What is nomophobia? No mobile phobia. Imagine a day when you forgot your phone at home. How do you feel? You feel lost, right? You're constantly worrying, if somebody is calling me, if somebody is texting me, if I want to talk to somebody, what will happen? At the end of the day, you spend your day properly. You're not in a crisis or trouble, or you're actually lost, but mind-wise, you're lost, right? So experiment that one day and see how much in distress you are. If that is a high amount of distress for you, then you're definitely dependent onto it. Explore positive addictions or engagement. What positive addictions we can have in our life? Chess. No online chess, actual chess. Which one? Which other addictions we can have? Exercises, right? Reading, very good. Kindle reading name. Okay, because nowadays all hobbies are here. Okay, so you cannot really get rid of it. So try to make it possible that you're having some non-gadget dependent hobbies. Like for example, gardening. You can plant a seed and see it growing, and you can nurture it and it feels good. Then there can be a habit of organizing things. You can just randomly organize your cupboard, your desk, your cupboard, anything. Okay, make a corner for yourself. You can stick some positive quotes. You can make some articles differently there. You can make some arrangements differently there. Okay, keep some plant or keep some perfume or room freshener, like that. So you can have a habit of organizing. Then there can be a positive addiction of reading, music, exercises, cooking, okay, or trekking or whatever. So all these addictions or engagements give a positive outcome compared to gadget addictions. Mindful use of gadget, because gadgets are really not removable from our life. We do require it. There are a lot of things that we can do with the help of gadgets. So mindful use is very important. For example, even if the food is too yummy, you don't eat it without your control, right? You don't land up eating 10 chapatis if you like the sabzi, do you? No, you keep a control over it. Okay, even if you read a novel, there is an end to it. You cannot read the novel twice, thrice in a go. You read once, you may take it up again after 6 months, but not immediately, right? So, similarly, even if there is something interesting on the online forum, you should have a check for it. How much, until how long I'm going to engage into it, and for what purpose. If I'm using my gadget now for academic purpose, let it be academic purpose only. Even if you're tempted to see your social networking site, even if you're tempted to read news, keep it another time. So that discipline you need to develop, that if I'm using it for academic purpose, if it is for notes, it has to be for notes. Then other notification you have to just dismiss. Okay, self check of the irrational use, and audit yourself how much I can cut down every weekly. If you cannot check yourself, then you can allot that task to somebody. It can be parents, it can be siblings, or your friend, that tell that person to remind you if I'm using it excessively. Okay, and then evaluate and seek help if you feel that it is not in your control. Digital detox is definitely possible. Lot of times, lot of people think that it's not possible, it is so important. It is possible. Then there can be some no entry zones for your phones. Which places it can be? Bedroom. Bedroom not possible because you can study there sometimes. Huh? Dining table, very good. So because you have to eat food. While eating food, you have to think about food. What else? Nobody will say, but washrooms, right? So we have to go without phones. Okay, because lot of times, lot of people don't want to miss that time also. Okay, so it has to be no entry zone for your gadgets. Maybe your sleep. When you say bedroom, be specific that your sleeping bed. Your bed doesn't require a gadget. Okay, you have to allow yourself only, and that time you can allot a very dignity place for your gadget. You can make a gadget zone for yourself, and you can respect your gadget and keep it there and value its own privacy also. Okay, disengage from virtual and engage with real. So whatever you wish to do or you like to do it in a real sense more than a virtual sense. And please look up. Okay, so positive psychology doesn't mean that you shouldn't have stress for positive thinking. There will be a stress, but we should manage the stress. And we have to improve our resilience. What is resilience? To bounce back. Resilience is an ability where we bounce back from our difficulties. We don't let those difficulty hamper our ability to perform. Okay, and then if you are not able to do it, then doing self auditing frequently and taking help for yourself is very important. So there are many techniques and through which you have to manage your stress. And if you are not able to manage the stress, if you find yourself in too much of overwhelming situations, so much so that it is causing that sadness, depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts in yourself, in your near and dear ones, don't hesitate to report and seek help for yourself. Thank you so much.
Now the forum is open for questions. Students, if you have any queries, you can all.
Yeah, you can stand up and ask. I will repeat the question. Is it working?
It's working.
Press it again.
Is this on? Ma'am, earlier you said that if we take the example of that lady who was working in the office, that she got extreme social anxiety, that she's not looking good and she has to look good. If we create a scenario that a person is living in an overachieving society where he has to be successful and all, and a person just gives a passing comment that your marks in this is not good and that all, that social anxiety will work as a motivating factor for him, no? That he has to do it, and then he will do better than other people who are not under the stress.
Agreed. So that is what I showed that curve, no? If there has to be some external press or demand for us to perform, if there is no demand to groom, you will not groom. You'll come without bathing. You'll not comb your hair. Right, but if there is a demand that you have to be professionally attired, your attire needs to be professional, you will look forward. Exam mein you all go shaved look and clean hair and proper shoes and everything, right? Why do we do that? Because there is a demand. So lot of times it helps us to improve, but if it is too much for somebody because of negative thinking and self doubt, so much so that it causes it causes impairment of my working, then it is anxiety disorder. So there is an adaptive stress and a non-adaptive stress.
But ma'am, if that thing is working for him, then why is it bad? Like for the lady, she was miserable, but
Yeah.
now she is looking good. Now she is looking professional. She is always well kept. So what's wrong with that?
No, she was doing it that before also, but she was doubting her looks. And when we told her to value herself, then the doubts became less. So, see, impairment means that you start scanning self and the environment too much than required. You start deriving conclusions out of it, which are self loathing. And third is because of self doubts, you're facing anxiety phenomena. So, this lady had anxiety phenomena. If she was comfortable, she would never come to us. Right. So when they've crossed that normal anxiety and get into abnormal anxiety, I will tell you another example of a person who didn't appear for interview with the fear of facing interviewers for 13 years. Can you imagine? So 13 years is a big period, and then he was in a guilt of being in the same environment. Everybody came and went off, and he was not due for next promotion because that was the highest position he was retaining, and he wanted to change, but because of his social anxiety, he couldn't appear. And what was the anxiety? It was very irrational thinking. That when I'm talking, I have this, forehead wrinkles, and that person is looking at my forehead wrinkles. I am fumbling, the person is taking meaning out of it, and I'm not confident. So these small bodily gestures were perceived as a threat to themselves. So when I talk about anxiety, I'm talking about normal and abnormal both. Normal anxiety, we all are scared of interviews and vivas, and we fumble and we jitter and everything. But if that is taken as a block and you're not able to perform, or you're avoiding an anxious distress, then it is a disorder. Okay.
Also, ma'am, one thing, you all, ma'am, you said that anxiety creates frustration and that creates sadness and miserableness. If a person really doesn't know what true happiness is, how will he be sad? Like he doesn't know what true happiness is. Why will he be
The
sad?
person doesn't know.
What true happiness is?
Okay. Okay. And that's a difficult question to answer because it talks about existential values and everything. So, when I talk about depression, depression is a significant mood change which is not in keeping to your original self. So you are supposed to enjoy everything, and suddenly, since a month, I'm not able to enjoy my activities. There is lack of pleasure, there is lack of satisfaction. I'm feeling helpless, hopeless, and worthless about myself. That transition in the mood is called depression. But if somebody is having the pessimistic approach towards life since beginning, it could be a personality. So in them, the depression is not different. It's just the exacerbation of their persistent thinking to a larger extent. So there are certain personalities which we call them as a cluster C personality, who are anxious, dependent, depressive, and pessimistic personalities, who thinks in their life about all the negative views. So they are inclined towards negative perception than the positive perception. Okay, so sudden change. If somebody is very cheerful and suddenly became withdrawn and is talking about nirvana and talking about death and what will happen, even if I go, nobody is going to be bothered about, that is depression. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. Any other doubts? Or he's answered a question all of your minds out.
Yes. What were three psychological needs?
The pyramid.
Yes.
Okay. So anyone can answer who have listened to the lecture. Yeah. Whoever wants to answer that question. कोई नहीं, किसी ने नहीं सुना. So the pyramid is, the bottom need is physiological needs. Okay, where we have hunger, food, shelter, sex, all these things comes in the bottom line, which is physiological needs. Then comes safety needs. Then comes love and belonging needs. Then is the esteem needs and self-actualization.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for a very insightful session for the art of finding an equilibrium between the professional as well as personal life. May I request Dr. Nandana Prabhu, ma'am, to give the token of appreciation to the speaker.
Slide recall. Students, you have a few instructions before you leave. We have been doing the departmental visits, the sports academy visit and the life skills in the last 4 days. Today is the last day for the same. So depending upon which of these you are interested to, because today is the last round, you can accordingly accommodate yourself. For those students who have not visited the computer and the EXCP department, it is B101. This is what regarding the afternoon session today you have from 2 to 4. Students who have not visited EXTC and IT, please accommodate yourself in B102. Mechanical and library B103, and for sports facility B104. Again, I'm repeating, this is for those students who have not visited any of these combinations. Accordingly, accommodate yourself in the classrooms at 1:45 today. So these visits will be for the last day, that is today, from 2 to 4. The next slide, please. Tomorrow morning, you will be accommodating yourself over here only for the session on future of work. And tomorrow afternoon is another important session, that is the interaction with the alumni. We have a panel discussion with the alumni. Accordingly, just like how you have gone to your respective departments yesterday, the same locations are there for the alumni session. Okay? Hope all of you have noted what I have said. If you have understood, you can leave. Thank you. Please see that you are going row-wise. Student council, please take care of their exit.